Welcome again to Wickerson Studios. I am looking at the ghPython node, but trying to look at the one-liners in Python and bring them all into that node. And I've had to do that by remote, this wonderful plugin here, ghPython remote. My earlier videos will help you get that up and running. It is a little tricky. It's not as easy as just pulling a plug in off of Food for Rhino, but contact me if you need some help. This is a great power of this, and I'm going to show you this. I basically looking into a problem that I embedded, playing off of incomes and taxation, but I thought, okay, how do we find the maximum amount of juice in a group of given bottles and sidecars, considering the sidecars are just an amount that is additional. So it doesn't make much logical sense, but I'm using bottles and sidecars of bottles of juice with certain percentages to show that the biggest bottle isn't always have the most juice if you added them up over all their different sizes. So the dependencies are the main bottle will be in milliliters for 3 different smaller size sidecar bottles. Coke is, the first bottle is really tiny at 10 milliliters, then 120, and then 161. You could just think of those as 3 different bottle sizes. You could do the same for Pepsi, 80, 120, and 160 milliliters. And then Dr. Pepper at 40, 41, 42, 141, 142. Then the sizes are basically the NP array tool, which you can use because you've imported Rhino, ghPython remote. You've actually brought in NumPy, and that's running in a script on this script. And I don't mean to terrorize people that haven't seen this before, but if we just took a look here, actually, let me just bring this one up so I can scoot it up. The whole file is getting pretty large and cumbersome, but it's all running off of this ghPython remote, which is running the NumPy library out to every one of these ghPython nodes, which are custom user objects that now are Wickerson Studios custom user objects. Anyhow, back to the task at hand. This one is running. Now, what I did was I simplified everything down here and made it parametric with a certain percentage so you could see that you get the highest and lower. I'm not indexing which company actually gets the most. We'll do that later in the broadcasting section. Right now, we're just finding out what is the biggest amount of juice in the bottles if you minus the amount of the sidecar bottle, which is kind of awkward to think about. I've tried to logically switch that up with a plus sign, which makes a different kind of weirdness happen, but it doesn't make much mathematical sense to me when I run that, that I'm left with a product. I think I'm going to have to probably close this out. Let's close that out, run it again, and see what happens. Sorry, sometimes with this broadcasting, you have to kind of come and leave a script. So what do I have going on here? I have minus. So let's put that to the plus, and let's run that script and see what happens. So you get this huge amount, which none of these actually add up to. Well, if you're adding the sidecar, then yes, you have this huge amount. So that's probably more appropriate for this instead of minusing. If you consider an income taxation question, you're actually adding liquid to the bottle. This is a nice way to think that which has the most juice over all the years if you have these weird percentages. And we're talking like a huge sidecar at this value. But if you bring that sidecar value down like this, you'll find it probably switches over to one of these other functions. So the numbers do change from 284 to 240. Not sure what happens when we go down to 0. Nothing. So you've got a choice between 2, given this percentage of the size of a sidecar. Anyway, the initial document I'm going to hashtag out. I'm hashtagging out comments, which means I'm totally losing my mind. I'm going to hashtag out this top comment, and I'm going to want to comment from this comment all the way through to this comment. And now we're running the top one. Let's see if it runs. And there we go. That is if we have this data, and these are the percentage sizes of the sidecars relative to those bottles. And this is just using array arithmetic to do this. And this is a very interesting thing to use this. The sizes, I think, actually, that the number of elementary-wide multiplication of 2, anything that uses the multiplication of 2 arrays is called the Hadamard product, which I didn't know anything about, but I'm glad I know it now, and maybe I'll meet a Hadamard one day in my lucky days. So what I did was to understand this, you always have to simplify your script. So I'm going to unhashtag that one, and I'm going to hashtag over here out the bottom one, and so now I'm running the second script. If I do that, you can see we get some really nice numbers because we come right back to the numbers that are in this. So always check that everything's working. And you can see that in this case, with there's no X value coming into the script. It's all 0, 0, 0. You can see the one that's actually has the most juice is the one with 161, so that would actually be Coke. And the next one would be Pepsi if I could get that to fudge around with these numbers. So try a bunch of scripts that work, different multiple dimensional arrays. Make sense of it in your own mind and have fun. Our next exercise is going to be something a little more difficult. We're going to enter into broadcasting, which is something I don't know anything about currently. So we're going to be working with NumPy arrays and slicing, broadcasting, and array types. So this is going to get very complicated, and that's why it's an intermediate section. And I wish you luck following this along. If you're interested to get these user objects, sign up for my Patreon, and I'll send you off to the GitHub repository that has all of these. If not, you can generate these scripts pretty much from these videos for free. And if you're having trouble, signing up or need a break on anything on that Patreon, just give me a call or reach out to me via Facebook, the ghPython private group, or whatever. And hopefully we can get some people really excited about what's going on here. That's it. I will hit save again because I changed the program a little bit, and probably take this whole one and just group it because we're done with that. And our next exercise, like I said, is going to get into slicing, broadcasting, and different array types. Hope you enjoy it. Thanks very much for watching. Wickerson Studios, Michael Wickerson.